The Galactic Council chamber was silent when the human ambassador walked in. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him, each filled with suspicion and curiosity. The chamber itself was massive, a dome of shining silver walls that reflected the light of distant stars. Creatures of every kind sat in their high seats. Some had scales that glittered like diamonds, others had wings folded behind them, some were tall and thin like walking shadows. They were the rulers of the galaxy, and they had gathered here for only one reason. They wanted to know what made humans so different. Rumors had spread through every system. Stories of humans fighting against stronger enemies, surviving on planets where no other species could live, and inventing weapons that turned battles upside down. The Council had studied human ships and human weapons. They were advanced, yes, but nothing that the galaxy had not seen before. What made humans so dangerous was not clear, and that mystery made the aliens afraid. Today they wanted answers. The human ambassador was calm as he stood in the center of the chamber. He wore no armor, carried no weapon, and yet his presence felt heavy. The Council had demanded he reveal the secret of his kind, and now every eye was waiting. A giant creature with 6 arms and a crown of fire on his head spoke first. His voice shook the walls. "Why have humans won battles they should have lost?" he asked. "Why do your people rise again when others would fall?" The human smiled gently. "The answer," he said, "is not in our weapons. It is inside us." Confusion spread across the chamber. "Inside you?" asked a scaled alien whose tongue flickered like a snake. "What organ do you hide that gives such power? Do you have hidden claws, secret glands, or extra hearts?" The human shook his head. "No claws, no glands, no extra hearts. What makes us strong is something small, something fragile, something that should mean nothing. Yet it controls everything we are." The aliens leaned forward. Even the most proud leaders could not hide their interest. The words of the human hung in the air like a puzzle. The idea that such a small thing could make humans strong was both laughable and terrifying. One tall insect-like being clicked his mandibles and hissed, "Lies. No small organ can change the course of war. Show us, prove it." The human did not answer right away. Instead, he looked around the chamber, slowly meeting the eyes of each alien ruler. He wanted them to feel the weight of silence, the weight of what he was about to say. His calmness unsettled them. He was not afraid, not even while standing before the most powerful council in the galaxy. Finally he spoke. "This organ is not muscle, but it can make us stronger than giants. It is not bone, but it can build ships that cross the stars. It is not poison, but it can create weapons deadlier than any claw or fang. And it is not fire, yet it can light the entire galaxy." The chamber was filled with whispers. The aliens argued among themselves. Some laughed, thinking the human was playing games. Others began to grow nervous. A being made of liquid metal rippled and asked sharply, "Then what is it? What do you carry inside your fragile body that makes empires fear you?" The human did not answer with words at first. He lifted a small device from his pocket and pressed a button. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed humans across different worlds. Soldiers in trenches creating plans in minutes. Explorers stranded on hostile planets building shelters from nothing. Children solving puzzles that alien computers had failed to answer. Humans dreaming, creating, surviving, always finding a way. The aliens grew restless. Some could not understand how a weak and soft species could bend fate itself. The council leader slammed his staff on the floor and demanded, "Enough riddles. Name this organ. Show us why the galaxy should fear it." The human looked up at the council, his face calm but his eyes burning with quiet pride. He said slowly, so that every alien could hear, "It is the human brain." The chamber fell silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The word echoed in their minds. Brain. They all had brains of their own, yes. But this was different. The human brain was not just an organ. It was something else. Something they had underestimated. Something that had already shaped battles and changed history. And in that silence, fear began to grow. The silence in the chamber lasted long after the human spoke. Every alien ruler stared at him as if waiting for him to explain further, but he did not. He let the word brain sit heavy in the air. Some of them had expected weapons hidden inside the human body. Some had thought of venom sacs, or hidden claws, or even strange energy organs. But a brain that was too simple, too ordinary. And yet it was the very thing they had overlooked. A scaled alien with golden eyes broke the silence first. He laughed loudly, the sound echoing across the chamber. "All of us have brains," he said. "Every creature that thinks has one. How can yours be different? Humans are soft, fragile, short-lived. You bleed, you break, you die. How can this weak organ of yours make you strong?" The human ambassador did not flinch. He looked at the golden-eyed alien calmly and replied, "Yes, you all have brains. But none like ours." The laughter stopped. The council leaned closer. The ambassador continued in the same calm tone. "Our brain is not the largest. It is not the fastest. It is not even the most efficient. But it is something more. It is curious. It is creative. It refuses to stop even when the body is broken. That is why you fear us." A murmur spread through the council chamber. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others scoffed, unwilling to believe that curiosity and creativity could defeat armies. A tall insectoid ruler slammed his claw on the railing. "Enough words," he hissed. "Words mean nothing. Prove it. Show us how this fragile brain is different from the rest." The human ambassador nodded. "Very well. Let me tell you a story." He pressed another button on his device, and a new hologram appeared. It showed a battle from the human past. Alien warships filled the sky, huge and terrifying. Their weapons glowed like suns. On the ground, small human soldiers prepared to fight with rifles and simple tanks. The difference in power was impossible to ignore. The aliens in the council leaned forward, recognizing the battle. They remembered this war. They remembered how impossible the human victory had seemed. The ambassador spoke over the hologram. "We were outnumbered. We were outgunned. No strategy should have worked. And yet, our soldiers used their brains. They tricked your fleets into fighting each other. They built new weapons out of scraps and debris. They turned every weakness into strength." The hologram showed humans creating traps, hacking enemy machines, and using the terrain in clever ways. Alien ships exploded one by one, not because humans were stronger, but because they were smarter. The insectoid ruler leaned back, his antennae twitching. He could not deny what he saw. But another alien spoke, a creature with glowing crystals on its skin. "Luck," it said firmly. "Humans are reckless. Sometimes luck favors them. But luck does not last." The ambassador smiled at that. "Luck," he repeated. "If it was luck, then why does it keep happening again and again? Why do humans survive where others die? Why do we create new paths when all doors are closed?" The crystal-skinned alien had no answer. Another voice rose, this time soft and calm. It came from a being made of pure light, a rare and ancient member of the council. "If this brain is so powerful," the light being said, "then show us its limits. Show us what it can do when faced with something no mind can solve." The human nodded. "You want a test? Then give me one." The chamber stirred. The idea of testing the human brain excited some and frightened others. A challenge was quickly prepared. From deep inside the council archives, they brought a device. It was a machine that could create endless puzzles, puzzles so complex that even the greatest alien computers could not solve them. Entire civilizations had failed to beat it. It was said that the puzzles had no end. The device was placed in front of the ambassador. It lit up with strange symbols and patterns, a problem that seemed impossible to solve. The aliens leaned forward, eager to see the human fail. They believed the mystery of the brain was nothing more than arrogance. The ambassador closed his eyes. He did not rush. He did not panic. He studied the patterns, not as a machine would, but as a human would. He looked for meaning, for connections, for possibilities. Minutes passed. The aliens began to whisper. Some laughed quietly, waiting for him to give up. But then the human began to draw on a small screen. His hand moved quickly, creating lines and shapes that none of the aliens understood at first. Slowly, the puzzle began to change. The impossible patterns started to shift into order. And then, with one final adjustment, the device went silent. The puzzle was solved. The council chamber erupted. Some shouted in disbelief, others sat frozen in silence. The ambassador opened his eyes and placed the device down gently. That, he said, is the power of the human brain. Not strength. Not size. Imagination. And for the first time, many of the rulers understood why humans were feared. The chamber was still in shock after the humans solved the impossible puzzle. Some alien rulers sat frozen, their eyes wide. Others hissed and growled, unwilling to accept what they had just seen. For centuries that device had defeated the brightest minds of the galaxy. Yet a human, with nothing but thought and patience, had broken it. The insectoid ruler clicked his mandibles in anger. Tricks, he shouted. The human used tricks. No brain can truly surpass the machine. He demands we give him more tests. Let us see how far this so-called imagination goes. The council leader raised his staff, silencing the noise. His eyes, glowing like two burning suns, turned toward the ambassador. Human, he said slowly, what you have done is impressive. But one puzzle is not enough. If your brain is truly what you claim, then show us something greater. Show us that your mind can defeat not just puzzles, but the galaxy itself. The ambassador bowed slightly. Very well. Give me your greatest challenge. At once, the chamber grew alive with motion. Alien aides rushed in with machines and devices. Holograms filled the air, showing problems that had haunted entire species. Energy equations unsolved for centuries. Maps of dying stars no one could save. Codes that alien computers had failed to crack. Each one was a mystery that had defied the council for generations. The ambassador looked at them calmly. He did not rush. He chose one of the problems, a star system on the verge of collapse. Its sun was unstable, ready to explode and destroy 3 inhabited worlds. For decades the council had studied it and found no answer. The hologram showed the dying sun. Many aliens leaned forward, remembering how helpless they had been. They had abandoned the system long ago, calling it a lost cause. The ambassador studied the data. He began to speak. You looked at this star only as it was, not as it could be. You tried to fight its death, but you never asked how its death could be used. He picked up a stylus and drew across the hologram. He showed a plan to build energy collectors around the star. Instead of trying to stop the explosion, the collectors would absorb its power. The energy could then be redirected to save the nearby worlds. What the council had seen as disaster, the humans saw as opportunity. The chamber erupted again. Some rulers shouted in awe, others in disbelief. The crystal-skinned alien leaned forward. Impossible. That would take decades of work. The ambassador nodded. Yes. But it can be done. Your computers tried to stop the sun. My brain chose to work with it. That is the difference. The council grew restless. The insectoid ruler slammed his claw down again. Enough clever words. Show us proof. One plan is not enough. You think differently, yes, but where does it end? Do you claim the human brain has no limit? The ambassador looked at him and smiled faintly. No. It has limits. But those limits move every time we push them. He tapped his device once more. The hologram shifted again. This time it showed humans throughout history. A small tribe making fire where none existed. Sailors crossing oceans on fragile wooden ships. Scientists reaching space with rockets made from metal and dreams. Every time a limit was reached, the brain had pushed past it. The chamber was quiet again. The images of human history played like a warning and a promise. Even when they should have failed, humans found a way. One of the oldest members of the council, the being of pure light, spoke softly. If what you say is true, then your kind is more dangerous than any weapon. Not because of what you have now, but because of what you might create in the future. The ambassador met the glowing eyes of the being. Yes. That is why you fear us. And that is why you respect us. Some of the rulers whispered nervously. A few even suggested that humanity must be destroyed before they grew too powerful. Others argued that such minds should be allies, not enemies. The chamber was divided, torn between fear and admiration. The council leader raised his staff again. Enough. The debate will continue. But today, we have learned something undeniable. The human brain is not like ours. It sees beyond, it creates, it adapts. Whether that is a gift or a curse for the galaxy, we shall soon discover. The human ambassador stood tall in the center, silent but steady. He had revealed the truth. And now, the fate of humanity rested not in weapons or ships, but in the power of imagination. The council chamber was restless. The human had shown plans that none of their greatest thinkers had imagined. He had solved puzzles, offered solutions, and proved that his brain could see beyond limits. Yet many rulers were not satisfied. Some were afraid, others were angry, and a few were deeply curious. The chamber buzzed with whispers until the insectoid ruler once again slammed his claw on the railing. "Enough talk," he hissed. "If the human brain is truly so powerful, let it face something greater. Let it face the machine of machines." The other rulers turned toward him. They knew what he meant. Deep inside the council's vault was a creation older than many of their civilizations. It was the central mind, an ancient alien supercomputer said to be built from the knowledge of 1,000 species. It could calculate 1,000,000 outcomes in a single breath. No organic mind had ever beaten it. The insectoid ruler's voice echoed. "If the human defeats the central mind, then I will believe." The council leader thought for a moment, then nodded. "Bring the central mind." The chamber shook as massive doors opened at the far end. A machine unlike any other was brought forward. Its body was made of shining black stone, and its surface rippled with glowing silver lines. It pulsed like a living thing, as if a star had been trapped inside its heart. When it spoke, its voice was deep and layered, like 1,000 whispers at once. Challenge accepted. The human ambassador stood calmly as the machine activated. A hologram of shifting shapes and codes filled the chamber. This was no simple puzzle. It was a battle of thought itself. The central mind created endless patterns, every one more complex than the last. At first, the human studied quietly. His eyes followed the lines, his hand moved slowly across his small tablet. The aliens leaned forward, watching closely. Minutes passed, then more. The patterns grew harder, twisting into shapes that no creature had ever solved. The insectoid ruler smirked, certain that the human would fail. But the ambassador did not panic. He breathed slowly. His mind did not fight the patterns with pure calculation. Instead, he looked for meaning, for shortcuts, for the story behind the shapes. Where the machine saw only numbers, he saw possibilities. Where the machine pushed forward, he stepped sideways. He thought like a human. The central mind began to quicken, trying to overwhelm him with speed and chaos. But the more it pressed, the more creative the human became. He drew strange symbols that at first looked like nonsense. Then, slowly, the chamber saw the impossible. His symbols fit perfectly into the puzzle. The machine's flawless order was broken by something it could not predict: imagination. One final shape glowed in the air, brighter than the rest. The human reached out, tapped a single point, and the entire hologram collapsed. Silence filled the chamber. The central mind went dark. For the first time in thousands of years, it had been defeated. The aliens were stunned. Some gasped. Others cried out in disbelief. The insectoid ruler staggered back, his mandibles clicking in shock. The being of light whispered softly, "It is true. The human brain has done what no other has done." The ambassador lowered his hand. He was calm, but his eyes carried quiet fire. He said softly, almost like a warning, "This is not power of muscle. This is not power of weapons. This is power of thought. And thought cannot be chained." The council fell into chaos. Some rulers shouted that humanity must be destroyed before they became unstoppable. Others demanded an alliance, believing that such minds could lead the galaxy into a golden age. The chamber split into two sides, fear and respect. The council leader slammed his staff down, the sound echoing through the hall. Silence. He looked at the ambassador with sharp eyes. "Human, you have shown us your secret. You have shown us your strength. But strength creates fear. And fear creates war. Do you not see what danger you bring to yourself?" The ambassador stood tall. He did not tremble, even with every ruler watching him. "We bring danger, yes. But we also bring hope. The same brain that makes weapons also makes music. The same brain that builds warships also builds cures. You fear what we might destroy, but you forget what we can create. The words hung heavy in the chamber. Even those who hated humans could not ignore the truth in them. The council leader lowered his staff slowly. Very well. The vote will come soon. But know this, today, you have changed how the galaxy sees you. Forever. The human ambassador bowed slightly. That is enough. And with that, the chamber fell into uneasy silence. Some rulers stared with fear, some with admiration, and others with deep uncertainty. The human had not only won the challenge, he had shown them the future. The chamber was no longer calm. The silence that had once followed the human's words was gone. Now the hall was filled with shouting, hissing, growling, and echoes of alien voices clashing against one another. The council had seen the impossible. The human brain had defeated the central mind. And now every ruler faced the same question: what should be done with humanity? One scaled ruler with golden eyes slammed his fist on the table. His voice thundered across the chamber. This is too dangerous. If one human can defeat the central mind, what will happen when billions of them spread through the stars? They will rise above all of us. They must be contained. Others agreed quickly, their voices sharp with fear. Destroy them now, before it is too late. Burn their colonies, end their growth, crush their people before they crush us. But not all voices cried for destruction. A crystalline alien rose from his seat, glowing faintly with blue light. His words were calm, but his tone carried weight. You fear them because you see only war. But think carefully. The same brain that invents weapons also invents wonders. Do you not remember what they showed us? Humans do not only survive, they create. Art, music, stories, cures. If such a mind can defeat destruction, then it can also build a future greater than any of us alone. The chamber stirred. Some rulers looked uncertain. The being of light spoke next, its voice soft and echoing. Fear blinds you. Yes, humans can be dangerous. But they can also be something more. They can see beyond what we see. Perhaps it is not destruction we face, but change. The insectoid ruler hissed loudly, his claws striking the railing. Change, he spat. Change always brings chaos. Do not be fooled. These creatures will not stop at creation. They will hunger for more, always more. They will challenge every throne, every empire, every power. He pointed one sharp claw at the human ambassador. Even now he stands proud, knowing we argue over his kind. They are too bold. Too dangerous. The ambassador finally spoke. His voice was calm, but it carried through the noise like a blade through smoke. You call us dangerous, and you are right. We are. But not because we wish to destroy. We are dangerous because we cannot stop thinking, cannot stop dreaming. We rise because our brain does not let us rest. We will always push forward, even if the galaxy stands against us. That is what you fear. The chamber quieted for a moment. Every ruler listened. The ambassador's eyes swept across them. But hear me well, he continued. What you call danger can also be your salvation. The same mind that makes war also makes peace. The same mind that breaks barriers also builds bridges. If you choose fear, you will find war. If you choose trust, you will find allies. The choice is yours. For a moment, the council was torn. Some rulers lowered their eyes, troubled by the human's words. Others whispered fiercely, unwilling to believe. Then the council leader rose. His tall form glowed in the starry light of the chamber. Enough, he said, his voice booming. The debate has gone in circles. We cannot sit here forever. The time for decision has come. All rulers straightened in their seats. The leader's eyes burned like suns as he looked down at the human. You have shown us your secret, human. You have revealed the power of your brain. Now the galaxy must decide. Will you be friend, or will you be enemy? The ambassador stood firm. He did not beg, he did not threaten. He simply replied, "We will be whatever you choose. But remember this, whether you call us friend or foe, we will endure. We will grow. And we will imagine what you cannot." That is what it means to be human. The chamber fell into uneasy silence again. Every ruler felt the weight of the decision pressing down. Some were already preparing for war. Others thought of alliances and possibilities. The council leader raised his staff high. The vote shall be held. The fate of humanity will be decided here, today. The sound of the staff striking the floor echoed like thunder. The chamber's walls lit up with glowing lights as the vote began. Across the hall, rulers cast their choices. Fear or respect. War or alliance. Destruction or trust. And as the lights flickered across the chamber, the human ambassador stood quietly in the center. He knew that whatever the council decided, one truth could not be erased. The galaxy now understood. The most dangerous weapon was not steel, not fire, not ships or armies. It was the human brain. The chamber glowed with shifting lights as the vote began. Each alien ruler touched the crystal in front of them, casting their choice. Red for destruction. Blue for alliance. The colors filled the air like stars, reflecting on the silver walls of the council dome. The human ambassador stood silently in the center, his face calm though every outcome of this vote could decide the future of his entire species. One by one the rulers cast their decisions. Some pressed their crystals without hesitation, their fear too deep to hide. Red lights flashed above them, burning bright like warnings. Others chose blue, their voices soft as they whispered about trust, about creation, about what humans might bring beyond war. Slowly, the chamber became divided, red and blue dancing together in the air. The insectoid ruler pressed his claw hard against his crystal. Red light burst above him, sharp and angry. His mandibles clicked as he glared at the ambassador. Dangerous creatures should not be allowed to grow, he hissed. They will bring only chaos. Across from him, the crystalline alien raised his hand gently and pressed his crystal. Blue light shimmered above him, soft and steady. He spoke calmly. Yes, they may bring chaos. But chaos can also bring change. Without change, there is no progress. I will not fear the mind that can imagine beyond my own. The council murmured, voices rising and falling like waves. The votes continued. Some rulers' faces were twisted with rage, others glowed with quiet hope. Red, blue, red, blue. The lights grew brighter, the balance tipping one way, then the other. The being of light waited until many had chosen. When it finally touched its crystal, the entire chamber hushed. Its voice was soft but carried across every wall. I have lived long and seen many ages. Empires rise, empires fall. But never have I seen a species so fragile and yet so unbroken. Fear tells me to end them. Wisdom tells me to learn from them. I choose blue. A deep silence followed. The balance was close. Too close. The final votes came. One ruler chose red. Another blue. Then another red. The chamber filled with tension until only the council leader remained. All eyes turned toward him. His staff glowed in his hand. His eyes, burning like suns, stared at the ambassador. You have spoken well, human, he said slowly. You have shown us strength not of flesh, but of mind. You have divided us with fear and inspired us with hope. The galaxy trembles because of what you are, and what you may become. The human ambassador did not move. His voice was calm, steady, but filled with pride. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fight, we bleed, we fall. But we rise again. Our brain does not allow us to stop. That is why we stand here today. And that is why we will stand tomorrow, no matter what you decide. The council leader lowered his staff to the crystal. The chamber held its breath. With a slow, heavy motion, he pressed it. A wave of blue light filled the dome, brighter than all the others. The final vote was cast. The chamber erupted in shouts, some of anger, some of relief. The choice had been made. Humanity would not be destroyed. They would be accepted, watched carefully, but accepted, as part of the galaxy's future. The ambassador bowed his head slightly, hiding the faint smile on his lips. He had not only saved his people from destruction but had also shown the galaxy something it would never forget. That the most dangerous and most powerful thing was not a weapon or a ship, but the human brain. As the chamber quieted, the council leader spoke once more. Let it be known across the stars. Humanity will not be crushed, nor cast aside. They will walk among us. But beware. For today we have seen that a fragile mind can defeat even the greatest machine. And tomorrow, none can say what these humans will imagine next. The ambassador turned and walked out of the chamber, the echoes of the council's decision following behind him. Outside, the stars shone bright, scattered across the blackness of space. He looked at them and whispered softly to himself. The galaxy is vast. And now it knows. Back in the chamber, silence lingered long after he had gone. The rulers looked at one another, uneasy, uncertain. Some with fear, some with respect, some with hope. But all carried the same thought in their minds. The most dangerous weapon in the galaxy was already here. And it was not steel or fire. It was imagination.